Welcome to another edition of the Who Made These Stupid Rules Sliced Bread video series. And when I was working with my team to put together the program for today, I wanted to do something that was near and dear to my heart. I love this series because it allows some of the personality to come through and allows us to do some goofy thing with endorsements and that sort of stuff. But today I really wanted to do something that I'm passionate about. And that is helping people realize that there are always more than two solutions. More than two solutions to achieve every goal or to exceed every goal. More than two solutions to solve every problem. And a lot of times we get stuck in this sort of self-imposed binary choice. And so I wanted to go through, and I was working with my team, and I said, you know, what I really want to do is I love tangible results. I love being able to give people something that they can take into work today and tomorrow and next week. Something that they can actually focus on, that they can try, and they can see how it works. Because sometimes change is scary. And sometimes thinking differently is scary, and it's very hard to do. And so we put together 3 simple little things that you can do. And as I was putting it together, I started to think back of how many times I've done this in my life and how many times I've helped somebody. And when you see the light bulb goes off, there's nothing better than that. What we find in life and business, we're seemingly always confronted with the thought that there are only 2 solutions. Like there's only 2 ways to do it. It's either or, right or wrong, yes or no, left or right, now or later. And I always have to ask myself, when did we lose and in this equation? It seems we've lost and. And we allow ourselves to be confined by that sort of binary choice, that yes or no sort of option. But if Golden Corral and Luby's Cafeteria have taught us anything, is that there's always more than 2 solutions to any problem. Luby's, Golden Corral, I'll accept your your call anytime. Have your people call my people. And it's the thought of, yes, I'll have the fish, and the mashed potatoes, and the fried okra. We get used to this as Americans, the buffet, the smorgasbord, all that sort of stuff. And so we accept it in some scenarios, but for some reason in personal life and in business life, we're confronted with that, and we only have 2 choices. It's right or wrong, it's do this, do that. And we stop looking at some of the other things. And we find that a lot of times, if you open up your mind to that, you'll find there are more opportunities than you actually care to think about. And so when I've worked with training businessmen and business owners and salespeople and doing these corporate events, I try to help them to build a framework, think a little differently about solving these issues and finding new solutions. So we put together a couple of things today. And first off, what I always start is, think to yourself, who gave you the list of available options or the list of available solutions? Were they provided by the issue? Were they provided by the scenario? It's a fork in the road, and you say, well, I can only go left or I can only go right. Was it provided by that, or was it self-imposed? That's a lot of what Who Made These Stupid Rules is about. Removing some of those self-imposed limitations that we can't do it, it's never been done, it's never been tried, other people have done it, they failed, it'll never be purchased, no one will ever agree to that. Whatever it is, and start breaking some of those things down. And just think about it for a moment. What we find is that most of the choices that we give ourselves are self-imposed, or most of the options that present themselves are self-imposed. It's the right way to accomplish it. Just think back, if you need an example of this, just think back to November when we all voted in the presidential election. And you think, well, that was, although there were more candidates than just the 2, you sort of think that was a binary choice. You can either vote for A or you can vote for B. And if you really think about it, you had way more options to vote for. And I'm not talking about Johnson and Stein and all that, but you had way more options to vote for. You could vote for A, you could vote against A, you could vote for B, you could vote against B, you could not vote, you could brandish your vote and you could proclaim it from the highest mountain, or you could hide your vote and never talk about it. You could do a write-in candidate. There are always more options. We self-impose this binary choice of, well, if you didn't vote for A, then you must have voted for B. And that sort of thinking stops us from achieving. It stops us from thinking a little deeper or looking at some of the other options. So first, ask yourself, who gave you the list of available options to choose from when someone's asking you to make a decision? And then secondly, one of the things that I do with every workshop or training, I start with, what are we trying to accomplish? Where are we going? And I ask it this way, what is our end goal? Where are we going? How do we get there? Because I found that if we can get people focused on the end goal, how we get there isn't as important, and we're more receptive to capturing these opportunities, recognizing those opportunities, seizing those opportunities, those solutions along the way. If I told you we needed to go to St. Louis on Wednesday, by Wednesday, You could look at a map, and it doesn't matter if you're in LA or if you're in New York or Minneapolis or wherever you are. You could look at the map and you could plan out how long would that actually take, and then how much free time you have along the way. And then you could start looking at the historical markers, and then you could start looking at the breweries and the taverns and the little restaurants and the little hotels and the bed and breakfast. All of those things that you might want to do to enhance the trip, those are solutions. And if you think about it on those guidelines, that framework, you'll start thinking that you have it is not just a binary choice. You have it. And so you ask yourself, where are we going in the end? What are we trying to accomplish? And some of those obstacles just sort of melt away. And you'll find that it isn't just a binary choice. There are always more than two solutions. If you've ever heard the adage of, can't see the forest for the trees, it's a reminder to look at the bigger picture. Sometimes we get so focused on the detail that we can lose sight of where we're actually going. And if you need any better framework from this, 20th Century Fox, listen carefully. Just remember back to The Princess Bride with the Dread Pirate Roberts. And he was taking Buttercup into the fire swamp. And one of the things, she said, well, we'll never survive. And he said, why say that just because no one ever has? And it didn't block their path. And what ended up happening, they ended up making it through. It makes for a wonderful movie that we all watch and we all remember every single line. Inconceivable. So if you need me to work on that 20th Century Fox, give me a call. We'll work on it. But if you think that you're going to fail beforehand, if the binary choice is fail or succeed, you're probably more likely to fail. There are always different measures for that, always different ways to accomplish it. And then the third sort of thing that you can take into life today and tomorrow and into next month is this thought. And this is probably the hardest thought to remember. And I still struggle with it, and I'm the one that teaches it. And it's take a moment to learn from each experience. And that's probably the most difficult step. Because in our fast-paced life, we go from putting out this fire, into the next issue, the next problem, the next goal, the next solution, whatever it is. And we keep moving forward. And we very rarely take the time to go back and learn from each experience. We sort of compartmentalize and we say, well, the solution for this won't work for this scenario over here. My question is, why not? If you've already learned these and you've already learned part of how the solutions work together, you can apply them across the way. Remember, it's not so much about the decision process, because every decision might be a little different. It's about starting the process of looking deeper and actively searching for more solutions than what you originally believe is the binary choice of right or wrong, yes or no, left or right, whatever it is. Start looking for those other options, and it opens up a world of opportunities. And you'll begin to just sort of instinctively know that there are more options on the table. So when you're confronted in the business world and someone says, well, we can either do this or that, you say, no, there are other options. Let's discuss, what about this? What about that? What about that? And you can start building some of those opportunities. When we talk about creating sliced bread moments, that's how we create the sliced bread moments. That's how we start building some of these things that have been hidden and bringing them up to the surface. And remember, we're all in this world together. We're all searching for opportunities. We're all searching for a brighter future. We're all searching for a better tomorrow. So never hesitate to share your thoughts, to share your comments. Send this video off to different friends and say, you know what, I knew you were confronted with a choice, and this might actually help you start thinking a little differently about other choices you might make, other decisions, other opportunities, other solutions that might present itself if you just sort of step back, take a breath, and just realize that there are always more than two solutions to any problem. And that's how, when we start talking about creating sliced bread moments, that's a big tenet of that. That's a big way to start the process. And so I want you to take that into next week, next month, next year, and start building that framework. And when you put your mind in that scenario, you'll start creating some sliced bread moments for yourself.